Hello, everybody.
Hey, hey, hey.
All right. All right. So you already liked and shared, right?
Yeah, did.
Well, thank you for that. I saw you were on Rex's show earlier. Of course, I dropped in as well.
Yeah,
How things go after I left?
good, good. I left about an hour ago because I wanted to grab something to eat before I came on here.
Well, I did. I did. That's one of the things I did when after I left as well. And now, of course, it's unfortunately starting to catch up with me a little bit.
Lovely, just lovely.
Yeah. Um, I need to. I need to take care of something real quick, so I'm gonna go off camera real quick here. If you want to.
Okie dokie, lovely.
I know there's nobody here yet, but still.
Hey, you never know. Somebody could come here while you're gone. Gone, 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 gone. So, how is nobody doing? Oh, I mean everybody. Oh, say I don't know what to say. But okay, there we have Mike again. So
Yeah, I just
I
had
didn't
to
have
take care of
to.
something real quick. So, anyways, yeah. Well, here where I live in Southern California, where I live, we had a bit of an issue overnight around 1:30 this morning. We had a power outage.
Ooh, not nice.
Yeah, and well, considering that it meant that my CPAP stopped working and of course my computer was off. Yeah, it didn't really help things
Yeah,
much. So I ended up
yeah,
going out for a walk in the area here just to see how far the damage had got. So
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
uh,
I'm not sure how far you are in Southern California, but I'm actually going to be in that area in September.
yeah. Well, I
Um,
live. Well,
I know you don't want to say, especially on air.
yeah. Well, I don't normally care. I know other people have suggested I not say specifically like my city, but I'm like where I'm at. I'm kind of like on the border of. I'm right on the border of L.A. and Orange County, where I'm at.
Ah, uh
So I'm not
yeah,
too far from. I'm actually just down the street from Knott's Berry Farm, as it were. So
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna be going to a con while there. I'm not sure. I think you know who John Dillard is. I'm gonna be staying with him while there. So
well, I've heard of him. I don't think I've actually talked to him, but I think I've
yeah,
heard.
yeah.
I know.
That's what I meant. You at least know who he is, sort of.
Yeah.
And actually, on the 17th, he's gonna be throwing a party, sort of in my honor, at his place. So and
When are you going to be in Southern California?
Um, well, I have the cons on the 16th. The
Oh, June 16th. Or
No, September.
September 16th. Okay.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
yeah, probably actually September is going to be a very busy month for me. Um, there's something called Supercrawl here, which is like a arts festival.
Hmm.
So there's a place where you can set up a free table. I'm gonna do that. That's on like September 8th and 9th.
Hmm.
Then there's something the next no, I think the next weekend, I gotta be in Southern California. I gotta be over to where you are. And then the week after that, I gotta be back for Hamilton Comic Con.
So you got a number of cons you're going to. Um, do you know what city the con you're going to is in?
Well, for the one in LA, well,
California.
in California is in LA.
Okay.
Um let's see. I should be able to get the address here. uh I just gotta go to the website. It's Alpha Omega Con, which is a Christian Comic Con, and it'll be on the um Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And it is says 10,252 Mills Avenue, uh, Whittier, Whit-
Whittier.
Whittier, California, and it's in I think a church called Zoe Christian Fellowship.
All right. I think I know that area. I'll be more specific after the show, after we're off the air.
Yeah, yeah. So heck, if you know the area and you got some time on that Saturday, might as well come down to the gun. I think it's like $5 to get in or something like that.
Yeah, we'll see what's going
Talk
on.
more about that after the show, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I think I just dropped a big hint that as I said, I know the area. So all right. Let's see.
Okay,
What?
this is
Hmm. Ah,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
just
I don't want you to give away too much, but heck, gonna be seeing a bunch of people from YouTube. See Dillard. Dillard will probably actually be even at the con with me at my table, or maybe
yeah.
doing other stuff.
Oh, so, yeah. I mean, if I can, maybe I will try to drop by there.
Yeah.
It depends.
Yeah. It's 3 months away, so Okay.
Yeah. Well,
uh,
I also have my high school reunion this year as well. So
cool, cool, cool. I'm just trying to find something for us to talk about while
yeah,
we're
I
waiting.
know. It's that's the thing with most people. It's like you know why I ask you guys to come about 10 to 15 minutes early.
So we're here, so we can hopefully start on time,
Right. That's part. That's a good part. That's a good portion of it.
or
But
more be
also,
able to start by start on time. Of course, I mean do whatever we want to do for the show a little
right,
closer to the start time of the show.
right. It's just that most people, no matter what it is, tend to have bad habit. If you want it's like if you want them if you're okay with them being like 5 minutes early, you tell them 10 to 15 because there's always something that happens to where they won't get there till like 5 minutes. It's like
Yeah,
no matter like what the actual time, whatever the actual time you want them there, or
yeah.
need them to be there, you say a little longer because you know that they probably didn't want
Well,
to.
dilly dally or something. Yeah, I know. Heck, I learned. I was bad for that back in high school, not being on time for much. But I've learned in the years since that maybe I should
I think
be.
I'm one of the actual few people. Well, you kind of are too, because you're usually here pretty early too, most of the time. Um,
Yeah,
but
usually if I'm only five, sometimes I'm like 5 minutes, and that's just because I end up coming and there's nothing behind the thing. So I'm like, okay, hey, I'm just gonna come for at the 5 minute, 5 minute, five
well,
two
I
mark.
don't. I don't usually ask on Sunday, since it's more of a free form thing on Sunday.
Yeah,
I don't usually ask you guys to come early because there's nothing really to quote
yeah,
unquote prep, because we're just hanging out talking, and granted I have stuff obviously talk about, but there's no like real. I usually have already done all the prep I need to do, which is usually just set up the history stuff. So,
yeah.
um, but
I'm gonna let me know. I'm about to turn on my fan. Just let me know if it makes too much noise, and I'll turn it off.
all right. Well, we are getting close to summer too, so I mean, here in the state, and I don't know if it's the same for you there, but 1 week from tomorrow is Memorial Day here in the States.
Yeah. Well, to hear. Well, I think it's this weekend is Victoria Day, which
Hmm.
celebrates Queen Victoria's birthday. The birth is actually the 24th, but a lot of times the long weekend before when her birthday comes up in the week or whatever is a long weekend.
Yeah, that's how they
So,
used to do it here.
almost about the same time as your Memorial Day.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, that's kind of funny because the way when I was a kid growing up, when we'd be in school, you know, if a holiday would, like if it was like President's Day President's Day got to the point to where they just put it on like the third Monday of February, just like Martin Luther King's the third, Monday in January. But
Yeah.
but if something like, let's say, Lincoln's birthday was in the middle of the week, they just rounded off to the nearest week. They either might put it on the Monday or the depending upon when it fell, they might just make it a long weekend just by giving maybe the Friday the Lincoln birthday observed.
Yeah.
Now they just if no matter what day it falls on, they usually just go with it the way
Yeah.
they do it now.
For here, for Queen Victoria, it's called May 2-4. It's always the weekend before her, the May 24th. It doesn't matter, May 24th could happen on a Friday, and the day you would have got off was the Monday that week.
Yeah. So, anyways, let's see. It's now 11:58. I'm gonna figure some. Well, I did see earlier that Metal, I think, was on at least on Facebook earlier a while ago. So I would think he'd be coming in soon. But then I know around this time he's usually walking his dog too. So
Yeah.
just and it.
Well, I shared it out, and of course you liked the stream already.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, let's see.
If no one's here, I would suggest if no one's here, like by quarter after, we should start doing whatever.
Yeah.
That's up to you, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much figuring that too. I mean, again, I wanted to wait till people came in before we started on that. But I guess what we could do is, if nobody's here by 15, maybe I can just, I'll just set that article up I was talking to you about. We can talk about that because you and I already know about Friday because we were both there. But I just I like to have you guys come on and give your impressions for those who may not have been able to make it.
Well, hopefully people will do a rewatch and hear,
Yeah,
and I know it's hard to count on that for sure, but you also don't, as you don't want to wait too long to start festivities.
Yeah, and I don't want to have a lot of dead air either.
Yeah. Otherwise, people will tune up from the beginning and then they won't get to the good stuff. Which is why, I try and help you make some conversation when it's just me here at first.
Yeah. Well, that's fine because I know you were talking about that, how we do cover. Usually, if RJ was here, usually we run kind of freelance most of the time. Anyways, I wouldn't need to bring up because usually, like RJ and James are here.
Yeah. Well, James hasn't been here for quite some time, and I don't think RJ has either. Unfortunately,
RJ's been so busy he hasn't been able to make the Sunday, the Sunday show here.
Hey, Mighty Geek's here.
All right.
And he says it's prom weekend for a lot of us with high school aged kids. Yeah, you guys.
Terry, I sent you the link if you want to join us in the studio here.
Yeah, you guys in the States start high school about a month earlier than we. You guys start at like beginning of August or mid-August, where we don't start.
Well, when I was growing up, we did start in September and go like we'd go, it'd start basically the week of Labor Day. You get the Labor Day Monday off, and then it'd start that Tuesday, and then we'd go until like mid-June. But then now, at least here in California, it's been this way for years, where they're now starting like in early to mid-August.
Yeah, that as far as I know, that's still the way here. Labor Day, and then after Labor Day, kids back to school. At least for all the grade schools, the college or university can be slightly different. And again, to mid-June or all the way through June.
Well, yeah, here colleges start in August and go till like May.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think they end around May here too. But there's 2 semesters, even for the colleges here.
Yeah.
I think first one ends around probably November, and then starts back up January, goes to May or something like that, or maybe ends December, starts back up May.
Yeah.
A lot of states are doing it. Doing what? The August thing?
A lot of states are doing it. Yeah.
I'm assuming you're talking about the August thing.
Yeah.
I
It's
wonder
been that
why.
way for recent years. Of course, Terry, if you can help out also by liking and sharing the stream, seeing if we can get some more friendly people in here, that'd be appreciated.
I wonder why a bunch of the states started going to like the beginning of August from September instead of just waiting.
Well,
any
as I
thoughts on?
understand it had at least here in California. I can't speak to the other states, obviously. Well, I think some of the other states, like some of the northern states, is because it's a matter of the weather. They start in August because then they can like take some of the maybe they take an earlier release in winter when it starts really getting snowy and stuff.
But the thing is, August is still good for weather. The kids should be out. In my opinion, I think it sucks that technically what is halfway through the summer they got to go back to school. Because June 21st starts August as a thing, and then it stops on like September 21st, right? So it's like, now you're spending half your summer in school.
Well, from what I understand,
although they're considering their summer now from
what it used to be when I was growing up was we'd go September to about halfway through June, and then you'd have you basically would have 2.5 month summer break. And there's Timothy. Hey, Tim.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Yeah, but they'd have that summer break over summer, basically. Now it's they don't have that summer break till they're getting their summer break is starting halfway through spring and going only for half the summer. So it's a spring summer break instead of a summer break.
Yeah. All right. Well, now at least we have 3 people in here. So but before we get started, of course, on talking about what we're going to talk about, I'm going to go around the horn here. I'll start with Rick and then Tim. You guys want to do your intros, and feel free to share your links in the chat as well. So Rick, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell people about your project and all that?
I am Cross Comics, also the Pied Piper of Hamilton. And I do comic books. I have a website, crosscomics.ca. I'm here on YouTube. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. I do some chill streams. This actually Tuesday, we're gonna on the chill stream, we're gonna have Nerd Wonder on, and we're going to be talking to her about whatever and her book that she has up on Indiegogo that is funding right now. It's actually funded, but hey, the more people that buy in, the better, right? Mm-hmm. So, on to Tim, I guess.
Yeah, feel free to share your link as well.
Yeah.
All right, Tim, you're up.
All right. Well, as you do know, I do have a sign up page for Melvin 3. Hold on, let me find that. And I will be launched. That campaign will be launching July 29th on Fund My Comic.
Yeah.
I did. Well, it's over now. I did do Author Palooza yesterday,
Hmm.
so that was
How did that go?
one book sold and 4 signups.
Oh, that's good,
So a small victory.
especially for your first one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was
It's
mostly
better. It's
actual.
better than no books sold and nobody signed up.
Well, I mean, it was I was the only comic book creator there, so
Ah,
it was mostly just actual actual authors of books, not comic books.
Hmm.
yeah. So it made you stand out a little, though.
Yeah, a little bit. People commonly
Now,
ask me.
whether that's a good thing or a bad thing,
Well, I mean, the common question is, did you do all the drawings yourself? And I had to say, no. I did I created the character. I wrote the story, and I did the storyboards. But uh, no, I
yeah,
hired the art. I hired the talent.
yeah. But that's still good because you're like you said, it's an author thing, and you're the author.
Well, let me interrupt you guys for a quick moment here. For those in the chat, this is Rick. Now, Rick, this is to your YouTube channel, right?
Yeah,
So if you want to check out his YouTube channel, subscribe to it. There it is. You can go ahead and do that. All right, you guys continue now. I checked the private chat, and I think Tim
yeah.
sent
Oh,
me
like I
something.
said, you're an author, so it makes sense. You're an author. Bring the book you authored. It may be a comic book, but hey, it's still a book.
Actually, that does remind me too, Rick. You want to tell? We kind of forgot to mention it a moment ago when we had you. You want to tell everybody where you'll be in September?
Oh well, September, of course, I will be in California. Well, for about a week, or maybe not a week, a few days. I'll probably be leaving like the Monday something and getting there um, a few days before the 16th. So we'll say I might be there from the 13th or 14th to about the 18th in California. Going to be doing a Christian Comic Con, and I'm going to be staying with the one, the only, the illustrious, the dynamic John
Quit
Dillard.
kicking his ass.
Pardon?
All right. And here is the sign up page to Melvin 3. Tim?
Yep.
How can I be kissing his ass? He's not even here.
Oh, sweet. You don't have to. You don't have to kiss somebody's ass. Come on.
Do we
Come
really
on.
want to talk about kissing people's rear ends?
Well, we're talking
Do
about
we
it
really want to
metaphorically.
degenerate to that level?
Sure, why not?
That
Not
sounds
even.
more like a topic that those who shall not be named would engage in.
Why the hell not, man?
Anyways, so with all the intros out of the way, of course. Rick, did you want to? Now that we're past the intros here, you want to go ahead and give your So on Friday, past Friday, Rick was my co-host as we were looking through stories from books that were published by Fiction House Publications, a Jumbo Cup Volume 1, Number 1, that featured, of course, weird stories of the supernatural and Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, and then Jungle Comics, Volume 1, Number 1, in which featured all jungle adventures, including Taboo, Wizard of the Jungle, Wombi, the Jungle Kid, and Simba, King of Beast.
Okay.
Huh?
Okay, so the first one was what again that we did?
Weird stories of the supernatural. That was the lone non-jungle.
Yeah, well, because of the end of it, it gave to me a Adam Strange little bit of flair, although I didn't know it till the end. So didn't really
Strange,
seem
huh?
didn't seem too weird to me or supernatural, but it was a good story, I would say. You know,
Would you say this comic book was way ahead of its time since horror and supernatural stories were more popular than say the 50s?
well, with the like I said, the story we read, it wasn't all that weird to me or supernatural. Like I said, there was a panel near the end that showed that the guy was somehow transported, whether that was supernaturally or technologically or whatever, to another realm, and that he was beamed back at the end. You didn't see him beam there, but you only see him beam back and
Well,
talking to the guy that.
I think, and maybe I skipped over, or it'd been a while since I read that feature too. Because
Yeah, and,
as I
and
told you, that particular book during 39, it got to a point where it's going out every other month. So
yeah, yeah, and that's fine. Like you said, I'm giving my impressions of it.
right,
And that might be the impression of somebody who hasn't read the issue before and picked this up for the first time, right?
right,
Even back then,
hmm
it's like, well, they
Right.
would know that. Of course, they wouldn't know of Adam Strange to compare it to. So, except for that, of course, Um, so I just can compare it to Adam Strange because I live when I live.
right,
And that's just because of with Adam Strange being transported through the Zeta beam to um Ran and then taken back away from Ran, and he's not in control of it. I don't know whether these scientists or whatever they were in control of him transporting or not. I don't know. As you said, we
right.
didn't read. I wasn't there to read one before with
Which,
this.
which is why it's always key to even come by and watch the shows, even when you're not co-hosting, because then you'll keep up on, because some of them some of them back then were written serially, right?
Yeah.
Like a set of stories. Others were
Well,
some of them were
they're just
one-off.
like those stories are a lot like. Well, some are like today, and some are like that. There's a lot of stuff nowadays that it continues on from issue to issue, and then there's sometimes you can just pick up an issue and not need to have read the issue before for the thing.
You
You
know what's
know,
funny though? You know what's funny? So a lot of people I hear, they do these streams where they, well, you have to know everything about your character, and like, because you have to have all these nuances that are not in the book, right? You have to know all the, they ask a question, they be able to answer it. But I guarantee you, a lot of people when they wrote these books back in the 30s, what was in the comic book, that's all you needed to know. There's
yeah.
nothing
Well, then
in depth or
they
nuance
they
about
didn't
it.
know it. They wouldn't have known as much as what people are claiming that you should know about a character today because it was just starting out and nobody knew practically nothing
Well,
about the
my point
character.
is the characters are so simple that there was nothing much to them
Yeah.
beyond that.
Yeah. Well, and you because they didn't know what it was going to become. To use a term that I don't like, they evolved a little bit over time. The characters, they
Mhm.
wrote stuff when they wrote it a lot of times, and that's how they figured out the character when they're writing
I
a
don't know. We
story.
don't like the word evolve. I mean, if you're talking about evolution of characters, that's anyway.
Yeah.
That's just something I thought. I
Yeah.
just thought,
Yeah.
a lot of people back in the 30s, it's like, okay, he's a crime fighter and he fights crime and he has a, you know,
Yeah.
this is
Let's
a
just make
comic
him the
book.
villain for this issue or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. No backstory. Anything. There's no
Just
nuance
know a
about
basic
it.
of what the character's about.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so, and that's what it is. But
I'll be right back.
okay. So, um, the story, like I said, the story for it was good. Unfortunately, I don't remember a lot of it. I just know it was. I liked the story. It was
Yeah.
good. I forget who he was fighting or whatever. I probably found a couple minor flaws in it. I do
Yeah,
that note.
you were well. That one you nitpicked a bit, but then you nitpick a lot of them. But the
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
which I guess we'll
The,
get.
the
Well,
one, of
I
course,
guess
that
I
was
should
the
wait till
worst.
Tim gets back before we go into the next story, because I know we
Yeah.
had quite a bit of a discussion on the China story on how she was fighting that lioness. but we should
Yeah.
probably wait till Tim gets back before we start discussing that. Because,
Yeah. But and then so Sheena was next, or was it the Wombi guy?
no, Sheena was next because we did both the stories out of Jumbo. We basically did the non-jungle adventure book story first, and then went
Which had
straight
Jungle
to the rest
Adventures
of it.
in that.
Yeah, then Sheena, we did Sheena, and then we went Taboo, Wombi, and Simba. But so again,
Simba!
yeah. So we'll just and wait till Tim gets back, or at least we know that he's listening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
So,
Well, one of the things I can observe, of course, is that of course, Sheena was a sign of what some people would have called good girl art back in those days. So.
yeah. Any thoughts or questions from the audience out there, Mighty Geek? I don't think there's. I'm not sure if anybody else is out there listening. Any thoughts, comments, questions about what I've said about um, weird jungle stories
Well,
or
weird
whatever?
stories of the supernatural. Weird stories of the supernatural. That was the first
Yeah,
story I read. So.
yeah. So yeah, there wasn't anything to me really supernatural about it, spooky. There was no ghosts or anything like that. So or
It was
vampires
more
or
like sci-fi. It
werewolves.
was a little more sci-fi stuff than anything else.
Yeah.
No.
Well, except for the end when he gets transported back, I wouldn't even say sci-fi. It was, as I said, I think almost a jungle story or set in like a forest or something, if I remember
Desert.
correctly.
It was a desert setting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't a jungle story. It was a desert story.
Yeah. I mean, the other
Some sort of
story,
wilderness.
the 4 other stories we did were jungle stories. That was a non-jungle story. That was more like set in the desert. But I don't even remember that he got transported back in time because the last time, the last time I read it, they were basically dealing with evil scientists who lured them in to do some kind of experiment. But that just goes to show I hadn't read that. I probably hadn't read that feature in a while. I didn't even know what's going on there. I thought I had, but I guess not. But
Yeah.
uh,
Like I said, it's in like the last second or third to last panel that you see him in front of these scientists, and that you find out he got transported. It's like, okay,
well,
this seems
I think if I had to draw a comparison to a later comic, I think what they did there was similar. Do you know who Dr. Carter Nichols was?
no, at least not by that name. If he had a superhero name or something like
No,
that, I
he
might.
wasn't. Dr. Carter Nichols was an associate of Batman during the Silver Age. He's a guy who came up with a way of like time traveling simply by putting somebody into hypnosis.
Oh, okay. Almost what they did in like X-Men Days of Future Past, like I mean the movie
Yeah, something like
by
that.
Marvel or by Fox, whatever.
Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah. I'm not sure when Timothy's coming back, so maybe we might want to move
yeah,
on.
I guess we'll just move on. I guess.
So, of course, next up was Sheena. It wasn't too bad of a story. I think there was some flaws, obviously, in the writing, and then, of course, there was our big discussion on the fight with,
The lioness.
yeah, the fight with the lioness.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was a really lucky monkey for his jumps.
Yeah.
Like being able to jump from this high wall, or I'm presuming fairly high wall, and just happening to land on this female, this lioness and being able to get his hands over her eyes so she can't see.
Hmm. Yeah, and then he gets thrown off into that pillar.
Yeah, no, that's when he jumped on the rhino.
Oh,
I'm
oh
pretty
yeah, that's
sure
right.
after.
Yeah. And you remember how how Sheena was pulling the monkey into her as they were running.
Yeah.
Remember that part? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I had something to say about it at that point. I might have, or I don't know. I just can't remember what I said if I said anything.
Yeah.
So, Sheena was all right. I think the first story was a little better, but Sheena, of course, is a more popular character. She is still around today, actually, in
Mhm.
comics. Uh, Obviously, she's, I think, changed quite a bit from that time. Still the same in a lot of ways, but changed a lot at the same time.
Yeah.
So, and then there was,
Then we went to Jungle Comics Volume 1, Issue 1, where we had Taboo, the Wizard of the
Taboo
Jungle.
the Torturer. Okay, it wasn't called Taboo the Torturer, but it should have been. That guy tortured those poor souls.
Well, even Woody said, those poor men.
Yeah. You know, um, I think it, like you said, and I forget that you said that it did say that they killed these villagers, but okay, it didn't say they tortured them, but the way that this guy tortured these guys, like for like what, I don't know how many hours, 12 hours or more. They're walking through the jungle,
Well, it would have
torturing
been
them
at
with the
least 6.
jungle.
It was like overnight, basically, that he was doing it because, you know,
Yeah,
uh,
but when they started out, it wasn't dark, and it was a little bit from dark, and he caught up to them, which might be possible, but I'm iffy on that. But that I can suspend my disbelief, I guess, a little bit. But then, you know, this guy is like Tarzan on steroids.
well, actually, one of the other features seemed more like a Tarzan ripoff than that one, though.
Well,
Congo
no, I
one.
just more mean in like his. He seemed like a cross between Tarzan and Superman in some ways, and maybe a little bit of
Well, you
Batman.
remember he got a sixth sense at the beginning of the story. Then he got a seventh
Yes.
sense at the end of the
Yeah,
story.
yeah, and his sixth sense like gave him all these freaking powers.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, talk about what was not Mary Sue, but whatever the guy term is for a guy.
Yeah. Hmm.
But in some ways, the story was good, but it's like that guy. I get in some ways. I get to me. I know you'll probably disagree, but again, in some ways, to me, that guy is. I know he was avenging people, so to speak, but I think he was a bit of a masochist, and which might tempt me to put him
No,
into
no,
the
no,
villain.
no, no. I think the
Um,
term you're looking for is actually sadist, not
yeah,
masochist.
yeah, sadist. So that might tempt me to really put him in the way he did things into the villain category.
Much like Namor.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, again, the debate goes more toward the idea of
yeah. I
one
know one
person's hero
culture's
is
hero
another
is another
person's
one's
villain.
villain.
You know, but you see, it's that dynamic too that makes some of these stories interesting back then too. Is that
Yeah,
they were a bit more grittier. This was, of course, pre-comics code. You know,
yeah.
so I mean,
But
it was a developing media. So I mean,
yeah,
they could experiment a little bit more, do a
yeah,
little bit more.
I get that, and I get the fact that one culture's villain is another's hero, or one culture's hero is another's villain, however which way you want to say it.
Hmm.
But if you take some sense of morality, I guess, for the a better term, and you just try and judge it based on some sort of standard of morality, and that's what I'm trying to do. I don't know whether I'm succeeding. I'll let other people be the judge of that.
Well, and again, it goes back to that same idea, because what might be right and moral to one person is not necessarily right and moral to another.
Yeah, but there are some things that I would say are objectively wrong, like
Objectively immoral, wrong. Yeah, okay.
right or wrong, like like to kill babies. Is that wrong? Yeah, no matter what culture you're from, that should be wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's an extreme example, you know, and by then that's what I mean by morality. There's got to be some sort of standard, right? Or should be some sort of standard for all cultures, to be judged whether they're morally good or morally bad, and or people in general, individual. And I don't want to get too much into that, but when I'm trying to judge a story, I try to just judge, especially a story like that. I try to judge it like that, not so much on, you know, and maybe I'm just doing it more on my morals than that, you know. And people can, judge whether I'm doing it right or not, or just tell me I'm off my rocker.
No,
And
I mean,
that's their
that's
opinion, and they're
you
welcome to
know,
it.
Rick, remember the whole idea. Part of it is to look back and see how things were,
Yeah, yeah,
compare and contrast.
Indeed.
yeah. And I don't know what the people. Obviously, none of us know what the people were thinking when they wrote these stories, and don't think any of them are alive, so we can ask them, or anybody could ask them. So there's that. Or did anybody ask them before now? I don't think any of us definitely knows that. So.
So it looks like Tim's back with us. Everything all right, Tim?
Yeah, I had dinner.
Oh, yeah. We thought you were just going for like a minute, maybe two, and then you're like 20 minutes. Well, maybe not
Yeah,
20.
can't possibly been eating dinner for 20 minutes, Rick. Come on, dude.
Apex is here.
Hey, Apex. Long
Did
time
you
no
get the color
see.
problem solved?
What?
You had a problem with lettering or something, or some kind of like color palette or something?
What are you talking about?
Your headphones, probably.
No, it was on. You were working on something, and you said that the words were coming out gray or something.
No, I'm talking about the mailing list on
the mailing list.
my MailChimp on Find My Comic.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure. I mean, I don't know why it has a little box, a white box with a little red thing going down like that. I tried to actually.
Is it on your campaign?
No, I haven't made the campaign yet. I'm just doing the mailing list for the MailChimp first, and then putting it, whatever I need, and then going to Fund My Comic for the campaign. I'm just doing a step by step.
Oh, okay. Well, if it doesn't work on your campaign page, I found, because I had that problem, I find that actually having the sign up page separate from the campaign page is.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to do with that, and then put that my MailChimp over to where Fund My Comic is, and then go from there. Is that how you did yours?
Yeah.
I had to hit that thing where it turns the main body into a code, and then you find a spot to put it. So you copy the code the code from the MailChimp website, and then you're supposed to paste it onto the body of your campaign.
Are you talking about the link? The link or what?
The code or something, or the link or something. I don't know.
The code.
It's supposed to. You're supposed to turn on a code, a certain mode where it shows everything becomes like numbers and symbols and whatever.
Oh, yeah, that'd be
and then when you go back to it, it shows up right there. But the thing that my problem is, it wasn't working, and then what's his name? What's his name? The guy
Luke?
Luke Stone. Thank you. My brain
Yeah,
had
Luke.
a brain fart there for a second. he fixed it, and then it stopped working again. So what I did was I took it off
Mm.
and started a sign up page that was separate from there. So
That's what I'm trying to do. My sign up page. That's what I meant. I'm trying to get my sign up page started. That's like a pain in the ass to me. I gotta learn. Keep learning.
yeah, so
I can. It's like I can produce comics, but the easiest shit boggles my mind. The sign up pages.
It's the tech that's the problem.
It is. Well, I'm kind of part of it too. I guess. I don't know.
yeah.
Okay.
I went to my first event the other day. I was at Author Palooza. Only sold
Oh.
one book, but I got 4 signups. So
What's Author Palooza?
it was an event for local authors in Middleton, Idaho.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's like it's a Comic-Con for author or novelists.
Yeah, and I was the only comic creator there. So
Oh,
represent,
man, nice.
represent mother truckers.
If I can interrupt for just a couple moments here, Apex is if you can a couple things. One, if you can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here, that'd be appreciated.
Yeah.
Also,
if you can make a comment, so I can give you a wrench, so you can share a link.
Yeah, I need to find the YouTube channel first. They mean the YouTube thing. Then I can get on there and do all that stuff.
Yeah. And I was going to also give you a chance if you wanted to introduce yourself, talk about any projects you wanted to do.
I am Apex Comics.
Apex.
Yes.
I'm gonna in the private chat here in StreamYard. I'll put a link to Mike's channel for you.
Oh, okay, cool.
For this video.
Nice. That'll work. We'll find it. We do it the easy way. Look under the private chat.
Hey, JR.
Here we go.
Hail Xenu, fellow T Guardian. Hail Rick Timothy.
Yeah. Hello, JR.
There I go. I mentioned something.
All right.
Bang. I put my link out there.
You can't put it yet. You gotta wait till he makes you a mod.
Oh, okay.
Which I think he's doing right now.
Yep.
Look. Comments. J.R. Exner, hail. Xenu, fellow T. Gakians, hail. Rick, Timothy.
Yes, I'm not sure where JR first found me, but he's in my chat a lot now. What was that, Tim?
Nothing. Smart ass comment.
Let me share. I need
all right. Try to. Well, I think Rick just shared my link for you. But why don't you try to share your link now?
I just shared this your channel, your program, Mike.
No,
I just shared.
No, he's saying share a link of yours in his chat.
I will do that right now. Right now. There we go.
A smart ass comment by a dumbass.
That is true.
Yeah. Links. Linkovich Chomovsky. Can't even. Can I type today? I had a nap, so that's probably part of it. I too. I don't want to get cranky. Let's see. Okay, here it is. So anyway, guys, what's the topic for tonight? You guys have something to talk about?
First, we're reviewing
random stuff.
Yeah, we were reviewing what Rick and I were reading Friday. He was giving his impressions on what we were reading from some of the jungle stories we were doing. Among them Sheena and a few others. So
yeah, from Jumbo Comics #1 was it or?
Yeah, Jumbo Comics #1, Volume 11, and Jungle Comics Volume 1, #1.
Ooh.
One over weird stories of the supernatural.
A Sheena story from Jumbo Comics #11, and then
the Jungle Comics.
I heard Sheena was
#1. We read like we read like 3 jungle stories. Taboo, the Wizard of the Jungle. Are you still putting the link in? Because I don't see it yet.
I'm just putting it in, man. Just hold on.
I got
I'm an old man. Come on, give me time. All right, here we go. Oh, God,
Oh,
here is
come
it.
on, tell me
Okay.
you guys got that.
Da, 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 da.
Tell me you guys got that joke.
we didn't really
I
hear it.
didn't hear it because I'm like,
I didn't hear it. What joke?
Dang it, I have to get my headphones. And they're all the way over there.
There's my link.
There
to my,
we go. There's your link to your YouTube channel.
all right.
Please
So
subscribe.
okay, well, Apex. Now that we have your link up, you wanna tell everybody who you are, introduce yourself, talk about any projects you do or anything you do on your channel.
I'm Brett Cantrell, also known as Apex Comics. I have a YouTube channel. I do comic book reviews, unboxings, comic book art on there, and comic book hauls. Sometimes I go to conventions and go make videos from those things. And it's a fun channel. I do live streams. My buddy Devil Flyer Rex over on Apex After Dark, usually on every Saturday nights, right around 11 p.m. or 12 midnight. Sometimes it alternates the time depending on my work schedule. And sometimes I have a morning show, Apex Comics morning show, Wednesdays, but I don't have a planned programming on that yet for upcoming live streaming events. So
And I think I subscribed to you earlier too, Apex. I hadn't been
Yeah.
subscribed.
And of course, you do sometimes have creators on and interviews them
yes,
with their books.
yes, I
As
do.
I know from having been on once.
Yeah, you've been on there. Yeah, and so
All right.
yeah, I
So,
do interviews, and also I promote other people's books on my channel on their their crowdfunding campaigns as well. So yeah, if you guys have a book, DM me at Comics Apex on Twitter if you like. So it's COMIXAPEX on Twitter. Just give me a tweet and we'll talk.
all right. So, all right. That sounds cool. So, as you know, we're kind of finished. So, we were talking about some of the features that Rick and I were doing. We were on Taboo. He calls Taboo the torture. And one of the things we were talking about with that, some comparisons we were making to Rick's impression of Namor in the early days as well. So, you want to tell the guys what we were talking about with Taboo there?
Yeah, well, Taboo, I did make the comparison with Namor as well, or said the same thing about Namor. To me, these guys were like just. Well, Namor was a straight up villain. This guy, to me, really walked the line, because apparently he was taking out, he was torturing some what we would consider bad guys. They had, I'm not sure what they were, bandits. I think they weren't even quite bandits, but they had killed some villagers by putting the village on fire. I'm not sure whether the story.
Sam, can you mute your mic?
Go ahead.
Sam needs to mute. What's going on back there?
Dogs.
Dogs. Sometimes dogs.
Who let the dogs in?
Oof, oof. Sam.
Well, the dogs are barking. Try and mute.
God.
uh,
Anyway. Sorry.
yeah, but anyways, yeah, but so his reasoning for wanting to get even with these guys, I can get, but he like tortured them for 8 to 12 hours, maybe more, through the stuff of the jungle. If you remember, like Crocodile Dundee, what he did to some guys walking through the forest, when they were trying to get him in Australia, but it was that to like on steroids, amped up like 100, 1,000 times.
Is that the Crocs eating the bad guys? I'm thinking. I guess I remember it.
So, I just say this guy walks the edge of a villain to me. Maybe I'm very tempted to put this guy in the villain category.
Yeah.
He may be
Hello?
doing things for
Hey,
quote
Tim,
unquote a
we just
righteous
had to mute you
reason.
because of the dogs in the background there. I just unmuted you, though.
But
Right?
he to me he walks the tightrope. He's almost again I sort of Punisher, but at least the Punisher usually just outright kills you, right?
Oh, for a reason.
Yeah, for a reason, if this guy just outright killed him, although the story would end faster, but and there wouldn't be so much. So,
Yeah, and the other
I
thing
could,
about Taboo too, they called him the Wizard of the Jungle.
All right.
He gets a sixth sense at the beginning of the story,
Stupid fucking dog.
and then gets a seventh sense at the end of the story.
yeah, and his sixth sense gives him like almost Superman type powers, maybe even
Yes.
more.
Sorry about that, Mike. There's a lot of wind blowing outside, and it's knocking stuff over, and it's freaking out
Making the
dog.
dogs bark. Yeah, no problem. Just if he was just like, if they're barking a little too much, maybe try and mute it for a couple seconds.
Well, yeah. The idea was that they were trying to get her to stop, and she just,
Yeah,
for whatever
Oh.
reason, would shut up.
yeah.
And then after Taboo, of course, we had Simba, or no, not Wambi, the Jungle Kid.
Yeah, I remember that
let me
elephant with. Go ahead, Tim.
Let me guess. Was it a negative stereotype of some black person?
No,
No, not really. No.
Have you
I
seen?
don't. I
All right,
know it wasn't
I think I need to
that,
explain
but
the Apex. Hold on. So we've been reading these old comics from the 30s,
Yeah.
and literally in one of the stories I read, there's a character who is literally named Slant Eyes,
Oh my God.
and he didn't really have any backstory. He was just there for this one character to knock out, and then there was this one sidekick character to another superhero, quote unquote, who was just basically, it was supposed to be a black person, but they looked like a monkey.
Oh,
No joke.
I mean,
I'm
yeah.
not surprised.
Some of the depictions back then would be considered quite offensive today.
Oh yeah. of
That-
I think
course.
it'd be
that's one of the
offensive
points we've made on here on several occasions.
anytime. I mean, if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's the times back then. It's so different from what they are
But
now.
then
It's
that should
crazy.
also remind you, though, just how far we've come in that regard. Because
Yeah.
back then they didn't see that as being offensive, whereas now we kind of recognize, yeah, that does seem
Yeah.
kind of
It's
offensive.
too
you know?
much. Yeah.
yeah. As for Wambi, the one or however you pronounce it, say it. The kid. I know he was riding an elephant, but I don't remember a lot about the story offhand.
Well, apparently he I guess came upon some poachers or something like that, and then ended up having to report them to the constables, and the constables went and arrested them. If you
Oh,
remember,
yeah,
his elephant came and freed him from the jail cell.
Oh yeah. The one thing I do remember about that
Is this
story.
from the story you guys read?
Yeah.
One of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second to last. The one thing I remember about this story: the villains capture the little boy, and they say we need to kill him in the morning or something like that. And I'm like, classic mistake. You need to kill him now, otherwise he's going to escape. And what happens? His elephant comes along and helps him escape.
Isn't that just like that Austin Powers movie where he says, "Close the tank," but you'll get away? No, I'm gonna let my enemy die an exotic death, and assume it all goes according to plan. What? And he's like, 5 minutes, I can get a gun. Bam, bam, he's gone.
He's dead. That was great. I love that one.
But it's like, okay, that now that Mike reminded me a little bit. That's what I see that automatically. I'm like, it's like, come on, you kill the kid. Not that I'm rooting for a kid to be killed, but you kill the person that's can.
It was
right away, not 5 hours
a bad
later.
plot device, basically, is what Rick is getting at. Because, yeah, you would sit there, and if you really wanted to eliminate a witness or what have you, and that's what it was. They were saying, yeah, you know too much. We have to kill you, but we're not going to do it until morning. It's like, yeah, very big plot
You're
hole.
just giving this person a chance to get away. Like,
Yeah.
what's the problem
This
of
is-
throwing him in the fire now?
This is
You
the
have a fire lit already.
this is the era where where the villains would do monologuing and they tell you exactly
Yeah.
everything they planned.
Well, they still do that
Just
today.
like
in the comic.
Goldfinger, right? Goldfinger.
So,
Or if you guys have ever seen the Justice League episode Legends, they kind of did, showing the same. They kind of were poking fun at the like Golden Age and how they wrote dialogue and stuff like that as well.
well,
So,
they made fun of that sort of in the Incredibles.
Oh
About the
yeah.
villain monologuing, Syndrome, I think, says, "You got me monologuing."
and then the last story we read, of course, was Simba, King of the Beast.
Yeah,
Oh.
and that, of course, well, maybe not of course, but that reminded me a lot of The Lion King. Yes, there was stories different, and as I think Woody pointed out in
The circle of stuff.
The chat that, of course, Lion King was stolen from a Japanese thing, but this was written
Simba the
before.
White Lion. Kimba the White Lion.
Okay.
This was, of course, written before even that, so they might have stole it from this story.
We could.
Well, in this one, Simba, King of the Beast, so he was basically the leader of his pack, but he was getting older, and so a younger lion had wanted to take over leadership of the pack. They were going to fight, and then the younger lion got into trouble. Simba saved him. They had their fight. Simba was defeated. He wasn't killed, but he was defeated. And then with a handful.
No, Simba
of
defeated the younger lion.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Isn't that
I think the younger lion won, or no.
Wasn't
I'm
that
pretty
part of
sure in this
Because
story.
the thing was he left the pack with his well, maybe he did beat the younger lion, actually maybe, but he ended up leaving the pack anyways with maybe not his full harem, but with
They don't call them packs; they call them prides, I believe.
prides. Okay,
Yeah.
Pride.
rods?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
Huh.
Have
Yeah,
you no
lion
pride?
pride.
Oh, sure.
So they were all interesting stories overall.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the actual Lion King story or the Disney version?
Well, the Disney version.
Oh, okay.
I never saw
because-
Lion King.
Because as far as, well, I don't know whether there's another Lion King story besides the Disney version, except for the Japanese version.
Well, what's the difference between for instance, Aladdin was actually Chinese.
Yeah. Well, Aladdin is part of the Arabian Nights story.
Actually,
Yes,
it was added. It was the character is Chinese, but it was written by a French person and added to the French version of.
Well,
Arabian
I've
Nights.
always heard of Aladdin
Wow.
being part of the Arabian Nights.
Oh, okay. All right.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just saying what I've heard. So
Sure.
All I know is Disney is the only people who can take a twisted story, like let's say, Sleeping Beauty, and turn it and then Disneyfy it to where it's, she's not waking up.
that's
She's not waking up
before-
by giving birth.
All right.
No. Is that what it is in the thing?
In the original story, she gives birth to a child or some children or something.
Really?
Who was she impregnated
okay.
by?
From
The dwarf?
From what I've heard, a lot
Oh,
of
Prince Charming found her, if you know what I mean.
from what I've heard, a lot of the traditional fairy tales that we all grew up with
So
actually
you
have
say
much darker origins.
It's adult
so
elements.
you're saying
right?
this prince raped her?
Well,
Yeah.
no,
probably.
we say on the internet we say graped.
Great.
Sir.
Great. Great.
She was sleeping and she couldn't really consent. So
Yeah, it's true.
Yep. And Disney completely removed that, of course, because why would you?
Of course they
Why
would.
would you go? Why would you go see a
no.
movie like that?
Well, I could
Especially
be.
if they were pushing it for kids.
Kinda worked.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I think that was cleaned up way before Disney.
Probably. I have no idea. I'm just saying that's the original version.
Yeah,
Wow.
I don't doubt that's
Supposedly-
the original version because I've heard the Grimm fairy tales are a lot darker, as Mike alluded to
Yeah.
earlier. Said
Well,
earlier.
I heard like the original Cinderella, like the jealous the stepsisters, that they hacked off pieces of their foot to fit their slipper.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah, right.
Or try to fit the slipper, but yeah, like I think they were cleaned up for storybooks before Disney got a hold of them, but I could be wrong.
That'd
Wow.
be interesting to find out, though.
That would. Torture.
Or maybe they were cleaned up after Disney got a hold of them. I don't know, but I think it was before Disney.
Heck, Disney even cleaned up John Carter of Mars because like I said, I've been reading the original ones.
Mhm.
It would have been it would have been rated R. There's a lot of violence in it.
Well,
Yeah.
and what I can
Gross,
tell
gross.
you from a lot of the '30s comics, because obviously I've been covering them for a while now, as compared to what we probably grew up with during the Comics Code Authority, there were a lot of darker stories, a lot more, a lot of things that people would find pretty objectionable today. But they still were pretty good stories nonetheless.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there were still comic books out there even during the heyday of the Comic Code Authority that were published without it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
One of the best
Most of
stuff.
them were independent comics, and were considered
Yes.
beneath the professionals.
Whatever.
Yeah. There's always been independent comics. I would
but-
say
you-
even throughout that era.
Yeah, you know what's funny though is like during the 80s it was considered like just beneath them to self-publish, like you were scum if you were a self-published comic creator. And during the 90s it was accepted because Image Comics kind of
the top
was popular.
pros.
Yeah, but it's
Well-
also we have all these independent creators all of a sudden we're coming up too.
Sure.
And then the 90s ends and then we're back to where we were in the 80s.
Well,
Right.
I wouldn't say that they. I can't really, I guess, say for sure, but because I really wasn't into the scene, but I don't think they were considered scum or anything. Just most people didn't even know that they existed.
Yeah, distribution was pretty scarce back in that period.
Yeah, the 80s, there would have been very little distribution for like independent comic creators.
Yeah.
So you might get to be known locally at best. You might get into some local comic shops.
Yeah.
If there were any in your area back in like the 80s.
And the conventions too. Yeah.
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 Were conventions just starting up in the 80s though too? Because like
Actually, the
originally
70s, or actually
70s?
before that, late 60s. I
Yeah,
believe,
but
or
they were
probably earlier.
there weren't as many,
No.
around obviously as there is today.
weren't they like
That
held in like
even
conference
was
rooms?
just it slowly
Yeah, in
built up
hotels.
over-
Yeah.
Yeah, San Diego's comic convention. I think they started 1969, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
They started in
Yeah.
a hotel. Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
earliest.
and
I've
that's
figured.
partly what saved Star Trek too. Some sci-fi convention or whatever. They,
Yeah.
they paid a couple of the actors to be there or asked or whatever. I forget exactly. William Shatner goes into that a little bit in his books or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, it's funny how you guys mention comic book shops and independent creators, because one of the articles, of course, I covered this last week, which I think as independent creators you might be interested in. I don't know if any of you caught portion of the show I did on it the other day, but I'm going to go ahead and pull up the article here. We can go over it together. From Bleeding Fool. All right, so I see BCA to distribute crowd-funded comic books to comic retailers. Article by Chris Braley.
Whoa, who's ICBCA?
I'm sure we're about to find out because that's
Yeah.
my question too.
Yeah,
Independent comic book.
I think it's like the Independent Comic Book Creators of America or Association, something like that. Yeah, right there.
There we go.
Really?
Right
Independent
there.
Comic Book
Independent Comic Book
Creators
Creators
Association.
Association.
Great. Let's get into that.
All right, so the
I'm
Independent Comic Book Creators Association. I see, and of course, as we go through this article, anything captures your attention, guys, feel free to comment and/or ask questions. And
Oh, this whole article captures my attention. Continue reading, sir.
the Independent Comic Book Creators Association (ICBCA) is a new cooperative launching on July 4th, 2023. So Independence Day here in the States. That is designed to bridge the gap between creators and retailers, allowing comics that were previously unavailable to comic shops to make their way into the direct market. Founded by comics creators Blake Seals and Phil Avelli, ICBCA will provide printing and distribution services for creators and for retailers. They will offer a catalog, ordering infrastructure, and other support. Retailers in the U.S. and Canada will receive the ICBCA's quarterly catalog, Fanfare, in both print and digital format, and can order from that with discounts up to 55% off the cover price. There is a returns program for unsold copies, and there is no minimum order. All items will have barcodes to simplify ordering and inventory, and no comic will be solicited in Fanfare until it is complete. So basically, I guess as they were saying, they're trying to bridge the gap from help, I guess, the independent comic creators get more into the direct market. So another option, other than, of course, the crowdfunding sites we've been talking about. Here's another option here that's been kind of thrown out there.
Yeah. And actually, I've actually started looking into stuff like this because I was at a smaller con near me before I went to Saskatoon, and a guy was talking about how he might be getting on with Diamond, and they're
Diamond
trying,
distribution?
yeah, because they're accepting a lot more independent creators because they no longer have Marvel and DC. And he happened to say a name of another company too at the same time. So it made me think, I started looking into this, and there's 4 or 5 out there like this that, you got to apply to get your book on or whatever. I've asked a couple for their process of what it is. You can go to Diamond and they have it up on their site, because, we want, we as creators want to get a bit bigger than we do, get a little bit more money, and a way to do that is, of course, to get it into comic shops, right?
Right.
And if we can get on with these distributions that have keys into all these different comic shops, and they'll order, between them all, like, a 5,000 thing run, right? And maybe that's thinking too high or whatever, but I'm just saying, pulling the number out of my ass.
Sure.
All right. So, anyways, we'll kind of get ready to continue on with the article here. Thanks for the commentary there, Rick.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, I like the fact that this is happening. Another one's popping up, and especially, dude, aligning itself with crowdfunding.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. So each issue of Fanfare will feature 3 months of upcoming releases, with the first month's releases shipping 2 or 3 weeks after the order deadlines, and subsequent months about 4 weeks after that. These releases will be denoted, quote, first ICBCA edition, unquote, and ICBCA will not sell any of its editions to the public until they have been available to retailers for at least 2 weeks. So that sounds interesting. Seals and Avelli told ICV2, once the back catalog is established, print-on-demand backlist items will be available within 2 to 3 weeks of ordering. Now, ICV2, I've heard of this site before because it's one that Yellow Flash uses a lot. They do a lot of comic, particular sales numbers. They have some interesting sales
Yeah.
lists, and I know that.
Really?
I would really like to know how the printing works in conjunction with it. Whether you have to have print it through them or whether you can have your books printed and then shipped to them or whatever. That would be my big part,
Yeah.
and then how much is their share. And I know that's not going to be shared in the article, most likely.
Right.
Let's see. Retailers who want to participate can register with ICBCA and will be designated, quote, indie comics ambassadors, unquote. ICBCA will offer them free swag and promotional opportunities. All retailers, whether they register or not, will receive print and digital editions of Fanfare. Creators will pay a monthly membership fee to tap into the infrastructure ICBCA will set up for printing, soliciting, and distributing their comics, as well as creating promotional materials and convention signage. There is no fee for retailers to participate. So, and I know RJ mentioned that too as well. That
Okay.
the creators, if you guys are going to do it, you'll have to pay a bit of a fee to do it.
Yeah, the question is how much is that fee? And again, I doubt that that's going to be mentioned in the article. You probably have to go to the website to find out.
Yeah. Save your money. That's all I'm saying.
Similar
Well,
vendors.
it depends. If it's like $10 a month, it might be worth it. But if
Yeah.
it's like like $100 a month,
Ah,
I'd say
no
save
way.
your money.
Exactly.
Well, at least it's something to look into. It's an option
Yeah,
to look
it's
into.
definitely
Yeah.
something to look into.
Yeah.
I'm
course.
finding what I've heard so far interesting. It's got me intrigued. Of course, I was intrigued from the beginning of the article.
What's the organization called now?
Uh, uh,
ICBCA, the Independent Comic Book Creators Association.
ICBA.
ICBCA.
ICBCA. Okay.
Ikbaka.
Okay.
ICBCA.
There's no vowel in between the B and the C, right?
ICBCA. ICBCA. ICBCA.
Yes, they do have a website.
Ibika?
ICBCA. Say it 1,100 times. I'll remember it. ICBCA.
Well, welcome back, JR. Hope you enjoyed your sandwiches.
Sandwich. Do they have a sandwich?
All right, so we'll continue on with the article here. See what more we can find out that you guys might want to mention here. Similar vendors, such as Comic Distro, founded by Austin Oeski in 2021, also offers print-on-demand and distribution services, but it is designed as a service rather than a co-op and has no membership component.
Yeah, I saw that name pop up when I was looking this stuff up a couple weeks
Comic
ago.
Distro?
Yeah.
So, quote, offering new creators the opportunity and excitement that we personally experienced when entering the comics community decades ago is important to us, unquote. Which is kind of the same thing I try to do with the historical comic retrospect, just helping people to recapture, that feeling of reading, comics for the first time and really getting immersed into those worlds. That's what I always try to do.
Yeah.
Let's see now.
Distro, the D one, JR, as in comics distribution.
Oh, I thought I said bistro like sandwich. Now I'm thinking sandwiches. We said bistro.
No,
So
well, it's
bistro,
the only difference is it's got a
distro,
D in front, not a B.
distro.
Yeah.
Bistro.
Yeah, but Zeno was saying he had sandwiches. That's why the bistro might even
I
make
know
it.
bistro. Like, huh? Oh, sandwich, deli? What? Bistro? Oh, distro. Okay, my bad.
Well, I'm presuming the distro is short for distribution.
It is. It has to be. Yeah.
Yeah, it's what makes the most sense. So
Of course. Yeah.
All right. So, and I take it you guys are looking up the site as we're speaking, right?
well, I'm not, but if you can
No,
afterwards,
minking.
you can send me a link to the article in
Yeah.
Facebook
All right.
because then I can just click the link on the bottom of this article.
Well, yeah, it says down here. So,
Cool.
okay, so let's see. Seal said in a statement accompanying the announcement, quote, there is a wellspring of diverse authors and artists are out there right now making amazing comics. And we are honored to help share these new voices with retailers and readers. Creators can register for membership on the ICBCA website. The Independent Comic Book
Creators Association.
Officially launches July 4th, quote, Independence Day, unquote. For more information, visit www.icbca.net. So, all right. So what I'm going to do now, so I'll do a couple things here. First off, the article itself, you guys, I'll put these in the private chat. So if you guys want to grab those, you guys want
Well,
to
yeah.
grab.
If you just click the bottom link, the ICBA whatever, that'll bring it up, and then you can just copy and paste the.
And that's what I'm.
Yeah, I kind of already signed up. I'll see if what happens.
Yeah.
Because eventually, I think we'd all like to. I mean, if this is a chance to get our books in stores and give us a wider reach, then that'd be good for business.
Absolutely.
All right. So, and then here's the link to the website.
Okay.
Coming up. So if you check the private chat, I put.
Yeah, I did. I went to the article and then I've already got it up. I'm gonna.
Yeah. So, anyways, so you guys done with the article? Can I go ahead and put it down now, or did you guys want me to leave it up for a moment?
You can. As far as I'm concerned, you can take it down.
Yeah.
Take it down. Yeah.
I got what I wanted.
Nice.
All right. So, yeah. So basically, I cover articles throughout the Apex. You come on a few times. I usually will cover some of these articles during the week, and then sometimes, depending upon which article I find might give us a chance to really converse about it. I'll pick an article and we'll go over it as a group. We've had some pretty good conversations too over the we were talking about like the quartering Matt Walsh situation a couple weeks ago, and then a few weeks further back, we're talking about a situation where a graphic novel based on the Diary of Anne Frank was taken out of school.
Yeah, we talked about Whoopi Goldberg's self-insert in her comic.
Yeah, that one was pretty funny too.
Wait, what happened with that idiot do now?
Whoopi Goldberg's making a comic with somebody about a woman going through menopause, and it gives her superpowers. And the person that from the cover, the hero looks like Whoopi.
She's been hanging out with Mindy Kaling. Let's just put it to you that way.
Is that like the one character that swings around with her by her armpit hair?
Oh, it's called Mom, isn't it?
Yes, it's the worst comic book of all time.
That's what I heard.
JR says, I don't see how books sold for $25 per book with an extra $20 for shipping with print runs of 2,000 could have transplanted into comic stores. Yeah, I know.
20?
Well, a lot of these people
Speak for yourself. My books are $10. plus shipping.
Yeah,
There you go.
he's just saying for most, because
It's
a lot
true.
of people are doing the $25 plus shipping, and they've got a big price range. And of course, for me and JR being in Canada, these books at $25 are suddenly 30 or 35, and then that 20 for shipping is again then 25 or $30. So, it or more, it adds up for us even
Well,
more
on
than
top of that, on top of that, there is a a getting your books out on time issue that just never really addressed.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
people unfortunately, and I'm gonna mention him. EVS doesn't do. Yeah, has a huge print run, but he does the huge print run for his followers. He probably prints extra for copies that get damaged that he has to replace and stuff like
Mhm.
that. But he's not printing to go to cons to sell or anything like that.
Mm.
They're just all in his garage or wherever he stores them.
Right. On top of that, the $25 price, a lot of these guys are making 48-page plus books, trying to jam as many pages as they can for a good value. And
Well,
plus,
Yeah.
and Apex, what I can tell you, and what Rick and Tim can tell you too, like the comic books back in the 30s, they were doing 64 pages every month.
well,
You know,
yeah,
with-
Yeah,
yeah.
but
you
the
gotta
printing was
consider
everything
inflation,
was a lot
though.
cheaper back then too. So
There's a lot more artists working on those at sweatshops too. On top of that, some of them doing 8 pages each. It's
But I
actually
guess you
dominant.
could say the indies are almost trying to go back to the model of the original comics with how being as big as they are, but ours are more one story, where theirs were multiple stories.
Right.
Well, my books are like 24 pages at most.
Yeah.
Right,
Well,
like a
yeah,
floppy.
me and you we're doing floppies, but there's a lot of people doing graphic novels. There's more,
Right.
I think, doing graphic
yeah, I mean
novels than
that's part of the
floppies.
reason why that's part of the reason why a lot of those golden age comics got called they weren't called comic books, they were called comic magazines.
Magazines, right? It's true.
Yeah,
No.
well,
I mean, the comparison I often draw to what comic books back then, where the comics magazines was what we grew up with in terms of highlights. The comic magazines, and you could
well, they
compare,
were probably. I would say they were more called comic magazines because they were more the size of a magazine.
right.
Even in number of pages compared to even a book back then, because books are like hundreds,
Yeah.
200 or 300 pages, where a comic book was, as we said, maybe 64, 60 to 80 pages with
Yeah.
ads and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they
So
Plus,
that's
like I
more
said,
the size
and
of a
I do a
magazine than
comparison to highlights too, because you remember they had a bunch of like featurette type pages too. They'd have like game
Yeah.
pages. They'd have little like profile pages, like about starlets or sports athletes and all that too back then.
yeah, again, stuff that a magazine might have in it.
They also have little stories just with the text only and maybe a picture or two just to add to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming from more the shadow type books or whatever,
The pulps,
yeah, the pulps. The pulps were in the comics could have pulp stuff in them, or Sunday funny type stuff or whatever.
Well,
I
originally,
wouldn't know where they went from calling them
many of
comic
the
magazine to comic books.
many of the comic magazines that were coming out in like the late 30s there, up until of course the Superman debuted in Action Comics #1. Many of them were reprint collections. They were basically reprinting newspaper print stories.
Yeah,
and putting
and
them
then
together.
and then another reason they were probably called comic magazines back then is that they were being put out or published by people that were doing magazines of the time.
Yeah, like Marvin Goodman, for instance. Yeah.
Look at some of the names of the companies that they had back then. United Feature Syndicate, Fox Feature Syndicate. Those are two that come off the top of my head because a syndicate, because a lot of these syndicates, they were selling a lot of these features to a lot of newspapers, like United Feature Syndicate. One of the features they had as part of their catalog was Tarzan. and they were reprinting the Tarzan strips in the paper in the comic books. Kind of same thing with Dick Tracy. You had a lot of that stuff going on. And of course, David McKay was reprinting a lot of the Popeye stuff. From like Thimble Theater and and that was King Feature Syndicate. That was the other one I was trying to think of. King Feature Syndicate. Flash Gordon, Mandrake the Magician, the Phantom, Popeye. They were all part of that. So.
Oh yeah.
But but I can see a little bit where JR is coming from. These guys are still, they're making a book for. Now I know everybody's not like EVS or even close to him. That book that they're making for $25 or charging $25, EVS, maybe his book is 60 pages, we'll say, but he's getting 100,000 copies or more.
Well, maybe they should go back to doing floppies. Maybe they should start doing that and making them cheaper.
Yeah. Well,
just thought.
See,
there's a growth on floppies, I think.
Yeah. But my point is, on that $25. Now I'm talking Canadian dollars, of course, because that's a little bit of what I'm used to. Well, I'm talking the American money, I guess. It would be similar news. He's printing, like 100,000 copies or more, let's say, of his books, right? So suddenly he's probably paying less than what I'm paying per book, and I paid just over $3 Canadian per book when I print it.
Oh.
So he's probably paying close to $2 per book, American.
Yeah, right.
I would guess. I could be wrong. Maybe he's paying a little bit more. Well, he does some fancy stuff. So let's say he's paying $3 to $4 a book.
Chromium covers.
Yeah. So he's making probably a good $20 per book because he is, and then he's charging $20 for shipping. It may cost that, it may not.
I used to usually $10 for shipping, depending where you are domestically. On the average.
No, EVS is only selling 3,000 backers. Well, I don't know what he's at right now. I'm just going by previous campaigns that I've seen.
Yeah.
JR.
He's not even printing 100,000 copies. It's pretty more like maybe 4,000 to 5,000 on average.
Maybe I'm remembering wrong. I know I looked at his first campaign, the 3 or 4 different ones that he had for the first Cyberfrog one.
Yeah.
And okay, maybe it was 50,000. Maybe it was. I think it was somewhere between 50 and 100,000, or maybe just over 100,000. I forget, but going with all those campaigns for that first book, by the time he actually got around to printing them, we could probably go on Indiegogo and look this up.
Another. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Rick. Sorry.
I'm just not sure how much Mike wants to get into this on here.
Well, it's not exactly something that obviously I know as much about because I'm a commentator.
Metal, no elbow coughing.
The metal's
hey,
here.
Metal
here. Metal, I know I sent you the link as well, so you're more than welcome to join us in the studio here. Actually, another interesting story kind of in the same vein as the whole thing going on with Whoopi and her comic. I don't know if you guys had heard about this, but you know that Archie is bringing back an obscure character and making them transgendered.
What?
You guys hear about that?
No. Why? Why, God? Why? Why? This is like the week. They're doing this all over the place. Every character gay, trans, and blah blah blah.
Oh, let me ask you a question. Are you surprised they're doing that? Are you surprised?
No, I'm not.
Well, I can pull up the article and we can go over the art because it was another article.
Go for it.
Full.
Might as well.
The first one was Blood Honey, right?
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
You know what's
the
funny,
first one's
Apex? The more I hear of this stuff over the years, the less I care. You know.
Me too.
And I mean, I think I finally realized that when they had a black Lex Luthor, I'm like, I don't give a shit anymore.
Like, oh, that's cool. Whatever. Fun. Good for you.
Yeah, have fun. Have fun with a lazy idea of diversity.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I don't want to make a new character. I'll just take an existing character and make him something else.
Well,
swap.
okay. I have a particular theory on that as to why they do that. Okay, I know you guys are saying it. Granted, granted in a lot of cases it is probably because they're being lazy. But there's another thing too, particularly when you're talking about legacy characters like Superman and like when like how they were making Jonathan Kent, gay and all that, and trying to push that, and Tim Drake. My belief on that, part of the reason they're doing that as well.
Trends.
They're trying to, for lack of a better term, they're trying to normalize it by using a legacy character to push the agenda. In other words, basically the idea being, well, hey, Superman's gay, so that must mean that it's cool to be gay,
because he has super AIDS.
Super gay. Yeah.
As we're talking about Superman being gay, it reminds me and you guys might remember this particular skit. There was a skit on Saturday Night Live, I guess, where they had
Bagels the gay duo, right?
Yeah.
Well, it
wasn't
the
gay duo.
What was the
Ace
one
and Gary?
Yeah. What are you looking at?
Right.
What's the one with Dwayne the Rock?
The villains are freaked out. Even the villains are freaked out. That was funny.
All right. So, anyways, Archie Comics retcons established female into transgender. Actually, I think I had initially read the Bounding in the Comics version of this article. I think, so we can go over this one since I already have it up. But a decade since
right, soccer moms, you can no longer enjoy Archie Comics.
Yeah. Oh, damn.
A decade since they introduced a male homosexual character named Kevin Keller. Now, Archie's continuing further down the drain to practically retconning an older creation into a transsexual. As reported by Warner Todd Houston. And the worst part is that a certain Moonbat who'd gone into obscurity a few years ago is helming this monstrosity. Yeah, well, here, I'll read the article and then you guys will figure out who this is. Continuing its walk down the ultra woke path, Archie Comics is now announcing the introduction of a new transgender character.
Who cares?
In an upcoming issue of its offshoot line, Archie Horror, the company is set to introduce a brand new, quote unquote, transgender woman character named Danny Malloy. According to
that name is still a man's name.
Some man's
in this case, they could mean like as in Danielle.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Danielle.
Yeah.
Danielle.
Damn it.
Yeah. According to an exclusive sneak peek published by Gizmodo. While the gender angle is new, the Malloy character itself is not exactly new. The character was first introduced in the 1980s and was portrayed as a sometimes girlfriend to Riverdale's resident genius, Dylan Doyley. But now, for issue number 1 of Archie Horror's new comic, Chilling Adventures Presents Strange Science, and that's basically the name of the book. It was Strange Science was the book she was initially.
Yeah, and I think I read almost all of those, if not all of those. I had those as a kid.
Yeah.
Really?
Malloy will be retconned as a transgender woman, quote unquote.
Oh boy.
The entire
purpose. It means a man, right? Dress.
The entire purpose of this one-off comic book, which is set for release in August, is to erase Malloy as a woman and recreate the character as a man who now identifies as a female.
Oh, God.
Like at least with what's his name, the guy that they had gay. At least they created a whole new character.
Well, I mean, here's the question: did anybody ask for this? No.
Not
So
really.
why are they doing it?
Well, I'm
ESG
sure a
money.
couple
Push an agenda. To push an agenda. That's why they
well,
did it, Tim.
there might have been
ESJ
there may have been a couple transgender kids or supposed transgender kids that asked for it, but
it's not
most
something that was widespread asked for.
No.
yeah.
It wasn't.
Yes.
It's one of those things.
Here's what I think.
They're gonna try to get 2 people and sacrifice 100. That's basically what they're doing.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Well, here's what I
not
think.
100,
Well,
1,000, 10,000.
hold on, Rick. Let's let Tim speak.
Here's what I
Sorry.
think. I think it's corporate wokeism is the issue here. It's not wokeism itself. It's corporate wokeism. They think that's what people want, and they want to look like they want to make themselves look good. So they change a character or they push an agenda because they think it makes them look good.
Yeah,
And it
as
doesn't.
we've been seeing, though, it's totally that line of thinking is totally backfired on them. Because
Well, yeah, but
Look at
corporations
Bud
are
Light.
doing it because of a small minority being loud. So they think, oh, that's what people want.
And also ESG money.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
but like I said, even when they created the gay character, at least they created a new character. They didn't change a character.
Mhm.
Right. So at least, with the gay character, you can sort of respect them for that. If they wanted to do this, fine. Well, not so much fine, but they could have just created a whole new character. They didn't have to change a character, Although, since this character is a little obscure, maybe a lot of people, unfortunately, are not going to care.
Right,
I'm not sure.
Well, anyways, back to the article here. And I do remember, I think I covered the Bounding into Comics version of the article, not this one. So, but we can go and take some looks at some of the panels they put up for that in comparison after we're done reading the article here. So, not mentioned in the advanced gushing over the book is whether a scientist character, Dilton Doily, will now be portrayed as gay, or if he was duped by Malloy, since the character has dated Malloy in past issues of the Archie series. Quote,
yeah, and if he's duped by her, that's going to be really not good on Dilton. He's a genius.
Yeah, but
then again,
it's always painted that people who are cognitively very smart socially tend to be a little more awkward.
Yeah, but they tend to be not so street smart or common sense smart. But Dilton's always been, for the most sense, common sense smart too.
Yeah.
He's not one of these geniuses like the Big Bang Theory that are stupid. Yeah, he's a little awkward, but not as bad as them.
Yeah. Quote, I've been wanting to make this happened for a long time, and it's really cool to see it finally come to fruition. I never wanted Danny's trans identity to be gimmick, or for her to feel like she was only created to be trans. So I'd like to apologize for sneaking her over the line like this, quote unquote. The writer of Archie horror series, Jinx, Grim Fairy Tales, Magdalene Visaggio, told you.
Oh, Lord.
I got a
There's your
revelation.
seed there.
I got a revelation for this guy. The character doesn't care. The character's not real. It's the people who read the book that are real that don't care.
That's right. There's your seed, Max Visaggio. Bang, bang.
That piece of shit.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys know who they're talking about here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like Gizmodo to gush over this kind of news and sugarcoat a bad writer whose actual name is Brian and who undermined at least a few other publishers with his ideology. It makes no difference whether this is an alternate universe where this retcon occurs. It's a slap in the face to the writers who originally introduced Malloy decades ago.
I agree with that.
I agree with it too. I agree with that wholeheartedly, not just with this character, but with all the characters they've done.
I think
Yeah.
we need to find a character that Mags comes up with and make them straight.
Yeah, but
There
he
you
can't
go.
come up with any characters.
Well, whatever
Or
Or he
character,
won't.
Yeah.
whatever
Well,
character
it's too
Mags
lazy.
comes up with, just take that character and make them straight.
Yeah, but here's the thing too. Here's the thing, and this goes back to what I said earlier. You know, I think what Mag is thinking, even now, granted, this is more with an obscure. This isn't like with a legacy character like we've seen other artists do. But I think some of the thinking on their behalf, some of the thought process, is that they figured, okay, if we use this character, this already established character, who people may like or may not like, who may they like, and we make them make them this way, and we make it appear cool, then that will further to suggest, hey, it's cool to be trans. Let's go be trans. It's like,
And I must say, he was talking about not gimmicky. Well, just doing this the way that you're doing it makes it gimmicky.
Thanks.
It borders the line of gimmicky, just putting in a character like this because you think people want
it's kind of it's kind of funny. He said he didn't want it to be gimmicky, or he didn't just want it to be trans.
Oh,
That's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what this Magdalene, whether it's a he, she, I don't really give a
Yeah, and even if they created an original character, it is a bit gimmicky or borders on it.
It is gimmicky.
Well, I mean, you think about it. If you're doing it to push an agenda, it's inherently going to be gimmicky because you're trying to push.
Best part of that article is when he referred to Mags by her real name, Brian.
Yeah. But
anyways, I'm going to continue on it, and an embarrassment next to the original stories where Dilton dated Malloy. So, and then there's the cover for the new one. Now, the Bounding into Comics article had kind of the comparison photos. They showed us what she originally looked like and what she is now. So I'll go back to those in a moment here when we're done reading this. So, and look how Archie decided to bring a bad ideologue writer out of obscurity for the sake of another woke statement, along with continuing this wretched horror thriller line of theirs. The time's come to boycott Archie as much as Marvel DC. They effectively destroyed a classic humor comic for the sake of something very unfunny.
Yeah. Well, I with this, I pretty much, I wasn't buying a lot of Archie or whatever to begin with, but the odd time, maybe if I was at the new, in the checkout stand at Walmart or somewhere there, and they had a digest, if it caught my attention, I might buy it. They're a decent price for what you get, but now it's I might get something.
If you wonder what I'm doing, I'm trying to find the
Bounding into Comics article.
Bounding into Comics version of the. We're not gonna read the Bounding into Comics as much, but I just wanted to show you some of the panels they put up to show a comparison. But I had to find, of course.
So I've got a question. Is Mags a writer at Archie, or is she an editor?
I think a writer.
I think it is a writer.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe just use this search thing and type in Archie.
Right.
Because I know I had a pretty good idea.
I love this comment by JR in the chat. He says Mags went from Netflix deal to a begging to e-begging within 18 months.
Well, I have Metal said he was sorry, busy day.
Yeah.
That was earlier.
I have a
Yeah.
connection to the Archie Comics group. Stephen Butler. I'm a
Oh, there it
Facebook friend of his.
There you go, right there.
He used to draw Silver Sable back in the 90s for Marvel, and he's now
Oh,
working
cool.
over at Archie. He's doing a lot of the Red Circle characters meeting with the Archie universe in their titles. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
So he sent me a bunch of stuff there on Facebook.
Yeah,
Good
well,
guy.
we just recently started covering like Archie in its early days as MLJ Enterprises with some with
Yeah.
Top Notch Comics, and I can't remember the other one off something. But
Yeah.
one of the stories we recently read was like the White Wizard, and there's also Rangatang, which is a dog hero. It kind of predates Rex the Wonder Dog. But
yeah.
anyways, so here's
I will have to say too, Archie holds a comics holds a a spot in my heart because it's when I really got reading comics first. I was watching superhero cartoons.
well,
and all that.
I'd always understood Archie. That was one of the comics that throughout its history up until maybe recently, that was really directed kind of more towards like kids or teenage, a younger crowd, and
They
more
didn't really change
more
the
of a
formula.
G-rated type comic,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But look. So the look to the left, the one on the left, that's from the original.
Yeah.
When it was originally introduced, and then the right is from the newer version. So
I don't mind that. I don't mind the hair. We're looking at those two. I don't mind the hair. The
Oh,
face is
It's
because
manly.
it's hard to distinguish.
That's
It has
stupid.
a thing that it doesn't look exactly feminine, but it doesn't look exactly male either.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
But
Way to lose money there. Archie.
everything below the neck is nah.
Yeah. Well,
Now I must say it is a good drawing. It is a good drawing overall.
Who drew
I
that?
can't take away from the art.
The headline here reads Archie Comics to reintroduce
bullets.
classic Dilton Strange Science character as Danny Malloy as transgender woman. So that was, now again, I'm not going to reread the whole article but here are some panels from the original version. Like Dilton Doily makes the acquaintance of Danny Malloy in Dilton's Weird Science Volume 1, Number 1, Working Out the Bugs, 1989. Archie Comics words by Mike Pawlowski, art by Bill Galther.
Cut to why
And
they
as
don't
long-
date anymore.
And as long as something didn't happen to it, I have that comic
Dude.
because I bought that comic.
I had
Yeah, because
I
at
used to
this
get,
time they also did some Jughead specific titles like
Yeah.
I used
a
to
couple-
have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles adventures.
yeah.
There you go. That's probably the best title right
Oh
there.
yeah, I recognize these panels. They're like
Yeah.
Dilton's Secret Lab.
Dilton Doily shows off his inventions to Danny Malloy in Dilton's Weird Science Volume 1, Number 1, Working Out the Bugs. So yeah, stuff like this is what I would find entertaining. Would you guys find this entertaining?
I know I'd find it entertaining. I found it entertaining. I read it. I kept reading them. I think I have, unless, like I said, unless something happened to them over the years, because I'm not sure offhand, I have the whole run.
And
Strange science.
here's the modern interpretation of the character.
Wait, I seem to be growing something down there.
What is that? This feeling I have between my loins.
Let's see. Danny Malloy makes her modern era debut on Butch Mappa and Ellie Wright's cover to Chilling Adventures for that street.
Oh my
Butch
god.
Mappa. Oh my god.
You know what? I actually thought of a scene from a movie when you said that they made this character transgender. The ending scene to Ace Ventura.
Oh,
Any more
yeah.
pictures?
He
further
found
down?
Captain Winky.
Yeah, there's a few more here.
Wicked.
Oh,
I remember that.
yeah. And then, of
This
course,
is more
the same
from the old
quote as
comic
earlier.
that we're about to see.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then look at that one. Danny, it's a pleasure to meet you, son. But
Wait.
You
Read
should
that.
work-
Read her parts in a deep voice. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, if you would, or deep voice.
Daddy, it's a pleasure to meet you, son. But you should work on your grip. Son? But Grandma, Danny's a girl. Uh,
That's what you think.
I knew that. I was just kidding. I've got housework to do. Well, I mean, again, though, you had to understand too the way they spelled her name should have gave it away that she was initially a girl because Danny in this case, I think, was short for Danielle.
Yeah,
Right.
but even that, like, yeah, you don't know how somebody's name's spelt when you say it.
Mm.
Hey, Dilton,
Right.
how'd your date go?
But
Okay, we'll
if you
talk about
look
it.
at somebody, usually you can tell what they are.
Yeah. Well, and plus you can tell even by looking at her face that's a. I mean, she got lipstick on. You could
Yeah.
and you look at her chest. You can tell that there's stuff there. I mean,
Well, that in that day, that might not be lipsticks. That just might be accentuating a woman's lips. I can't say for sure one way or another.
well, look at the
It's
grandmother
lipstick.
there.
Come
Rick.
on.
Are you
Well,
going to say
no.
that?
Yeah, the grandma's got about the same looking lips. That's how they would do girls' lips. They
Yeah.
even do that a little bit nowadays, even without them having lipstick on
Mm.
as art.
And according to this, Dilton Doily introduces Danny Malloy to his grandmother in Dilton's Weird Science Volume 1, Number 2. It's about time.
Grandma's like,
Weird.
tranny.
Like,
What are you talking about, Grandma?
why you have such strange friends?
Look at her hands. They're bigger than yours.
And look at it. Look at this right here. Look at this interesting little scene here. They're chasing alien. Uh-oh. Hey, Bog.
Danny, what's poking me in the back?
It hurts.
I like that. It's a bird. It's a plane.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Dilton Doily and Danny Malloy attempt to stop a pair of alien invaders in Dilton's Weird Science Volume 1, Number 1, Big Trouble in Space.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
1989.
What are they doing?
So this is so the original character is like almost 35 years old. I mean 89, 90.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah,
then,
they're
and
dead.
then this is what they're giving us now.
Oh, okay. That's so don't care.
Now that right there, her face right there.
Yeah.
You have to almost admit that doesn't that look kind of scary to you?
Masculine. Yeah.
Well, not just for me; it's the coloring of it.
She
So for
wears
me,
Yeah.
this and
That's
she
it.
blood,
wears
that
flannel.
very blood
again-
red
That is life.
crimson color there.
But
It's a
again, to
demon.
say the art looks good, great, phenomenal. I'm not going to take anything away from the art. I don't like what they did to the character and all that, but the art is, like I said, great in my opinion.
Yeah.
She
Or the
wears
artist
lace
is-
and she wears flannel. She watches sports and the Lifetime Channel.
Unfortunately, yeah, I would hope there'd be more artists that just, I'm not going to draw this.
No, exactly. Why should I draw it? You have to pay me extra. Come on.
Uh,
All right, well, guys, we're coming up on 2 hours here, so I think we've had some good conversations here, and we've had, I guess, some good stuff for that.
that whole article was so fun. After you think about it, it's just funny. And they thought this was a good idea. Oh my god!
I don't. Well, from what I understand, from what I've heard, from what of some of the things I've been hearing people talk about in regard to that situation with the Archie horror line, we thought Avi was even saying. I don't think that's. In fact, RJ was even talking about it with Michael and another comic book store owner last night on his LCS show, where
Apparently, JR is the real victim the real victim here.
You're right.
Yeah, JR says, for me, because 80s Danny was hottish.
Mhm.
2023's Danny is fat faced. I wouldn't say
That's more
fat faced. That face
manly
wasn't that.
face.
Manly
Yeah.
face.
Really
Yeah,
manly
but
face. It's
all right.
manly.
So, anyways, guys, I think it's a good time to start wrapping it. So we'll try to finish up here. So the last segment we do before we wrap things up, of course, is this. Well, in this case, since it's the weekend edition, this weekend in niche history. History.
Weekend in niche history.
87,
Yeah.
2013,
Oh,
33. I'm just reminding
That's
myself.
what you need when you announce it. You need someone to whisper it after you say it, like niche history.
It's history.
Yeah. So, anyways, so we're gonna head back first off. 90 years ago yesterday.
Whoa.
90 years ago yesterday, on May 20th, 1933,
What?
Techno Racket, which was a animated short produced by Charles Mims Productions, premiered in theaters on yesterday's date back in. Now, obviously, they don't show too much of what the story was about here. That's all I could find on it. But according to the trivia here, it's the one piece of trivia they mention here. The correct title, as it appears in the credits, is Techno Racket. The cartoon is inspired by technocracy, which was a prevalent buzzword in the 1930s. So that was the one trivia item. So on yesterday's date, 90 years ago, Techno Racket from Charles Mintz Productions premiered in movie theaters 90 years ago yesterday. So there we go with that one. Now getting ready to move on to the next piece of niche history. Going back 40 years ago yesterday. And I can pull it up here. 40 years ago today, Toei Animation Stop Hibari-kun premiered on Fuji TV on yesterday's date back in 19. And so it's 40 years ago. Stop Hibari-kun, which was a romantic comedy anime. So just peeking a little quickie little thing with the plot here. Stop Hibari-kun follows Kosaku Sakamoto, a high school student, whose mother tells him on her deathbed to live with her friend and Yakuza boss, Hibari Ozona, and his family in Tokyo after she dies. Although Kosaku is initially unsure about the situation, he is relieved when he meets Hibari's four children, Tsugumi, Tsubame, Hibari, and Suzume. Kosaku is attracted to Hibari from the start. So it's a romantic comedy anime. So on yesterday's date, 40 years ago, it ran for 35 episodes. Stop Hibari-kun premiered on Fuji TV in Japan. Let's see now. Now the last piece for yesterday's date on 10 years ago yesterday. 10 years ago yesterday, from the Sprint Center in Kansas City, Missouri, WWE held its Monday Night Raw event. This was the night after its Extreme Rules event. The matches saw in the main event, Kurt Axel and Triple H wrestled to a no contest. Randy Orton defeated Jack Swagger, who's now, of course, Jake Hager in AEW. The Shield defeated Kofi Kingston and Team Hell No. Daniel Bryan, a.k.a. Bryan Danielson.
Well, back up. You said She-Hulk?
No, the Shield.
Oh, the Shield. Okay,
Shield.
I thought you said She-Hulk. What?
No, it's the Shield. They were a
The
faction back at this point.
Oh.
Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins. Basically, Seth and Roman are still with the WWE. Roman is currently the longest reigning Universal Champion there is. Dean Ambrose had left the WWE over creative differences. He now wrestles under the name John Moxley in AEW. And then a few other matches here. But anyway, so on that day, 10 years ago, on yesterday's date, 10 years ago, the Monday Night Raw event from the Sprint Center. And on this day, 26 years ago, back in 1997, pull that up in a moment here. And it's funny how you were talking about how we're talking a little bit about the Archie line of comics here, because on today's date, 26 years ago today, the 95th issue of Archie's Pal Jughead Comics went on sale on this date 26 years ago. Looked like it was an anthology series, sold for $1.50, was 32 pages. Jughead featured in 4 of the 5 stories, with Salem being the other feature there. So, and this book, this book ran until 2012, issue 214. But on this date back in 1997, this date back in 1997, 26 years ago today, the 95th issue of that book went on sale on newsstands. So there we go, guys. Hope you all enjoyed all that. Now, before we go, of course, go round the horn here. You guys can promote your stuff. With the outro, we'll start with Rick and just go counterclockwise here. So Rick to Tim, or I guess clockwise. I guess what it would be. I guess Rick to
Tim to Apex to you.
Apex, and then back to me. So Rick, go ahead.
Okay, so for all that you don't know, which is probably nobody, I am Rick Piper of Cross Comics, the Pied Piper of Hamilton. I do comic books. I have 3 out: Canadian Shield 1 and 2, and Snowdrift 1. You can I was gonna say find them at Fund My Comic at the moment. Probably sometime this week. I think I'm going to be taking that down since it's not making any money, and just make them available on my webpage. But if you want to go over there and try and get them before then, go do so. So I guess that's it for me. Oh, go sign up if you're not on my YouTube channel. Go there, please. And down to Timothy.
All right.
All right. You saved for the best for a second. Melvin 3 launches July 29th, Pacific Daytime. I don't know why they say BDT, but whatever. You can sign up. There's a sign up page. You have the link, right?
Yeah.
Let these beautiful people see it.
All right.
And that's about it for right about now. So on to you, Apex.
Give me a moment, guys. Yes, Apex Comics, please like, subscribe, ring bell for notifications. I try to do a show every weekend, Apex After Dark, whenever I find the time. And I have I'm about to put in a link for my Apex Comics Cavalcade Ashcan, 20 pages, 3 complete stories, plus the Apex Comics Golden Age mini comic set of 2 trading card size comics, Madam X and Nikolai Star, both World War II super action packed battle comics of World War II. $10 each, postage paid, or 2 for $20. You get to 2 for $20, you get a bonus gift on top of that. So I'm about to put the link in the description. Thank you very much for watching.
All right. So here is Tim's link to the sign up page for those who might want to get it.
I promise you, if you sign up, you will get girls. Promise.
Yes, but they'll be in your comics.
Yeah. Yeah. As soon as Apex puts his link up, we'll highlight that and just show everybody.
Done this earlier, my bad. Yeah, with the bonus gift. Yeah, the bonus gifts I put in sometimes it could be sketch cards, sometimes it could be limited edition prints, or some bonus original artwork. So any bonus gift could be one or the other. So yeah, here we go.
You
Uh-huh.
never know what it'll be.
Never know what you get. Here it is. I just put the link up.
It could be a
Right.
human hand. You don't know.
All
Yeah,
right, so
maybe.
here's Apex's link for those who want to check those out. You know,
Not the
put it up for
PayPal.
a few minutes.
And please put your address in so I can ship it too. Very important.
Yeah. You don't want to pay for something and not be able to get it.
All right.
Exactly.
All right. Well, now to finish up with me, of course. As you guys know, this is the Mikestand. I broadcast 6 nights a week. We have the panel here on Sunday where the guys join me and we talk all things niche. Join me Monday through Thursday for the niche newscast where we go over headlines in the world of niche. Now granted, a lot of stuff is now becoming more mainstream, but it's still traditionally been considered niche. Which means kind of off brands or not off of main. But anyway, so Monday to Thursday, the niche newscast, and then this Friday, of course, will be our weekly historical comic retrospect, where we look back to comic history, to a little bit of everything, including giving, of course, reading through the comics and trying to really immerse ourselves in those worlds. I do voices, and some guests will do voices. Some will just be there to commentate, but of course we do commentary as well. We talk about, we do some comparative social commentary. Maybe we commentate on the art or the writing. It's a little bit of everything in there. You might want to check it out if you really want to kind of look back and see how comics evolved over time and just get a good historical feeling for it. This Friday, of course, Terry from Mighty Geek Studios will be my co-host. We'll be continuing our look at books that went on sale in October of 1939. This week we will be going over books that went on sale from Fox Feature Syndicate. We'll be looking. No, actually, wait. No, not. Yeah, okay. I guess it is Fox Feature. That's right. Fox Feature Syndicate. I'm sorry, not Terry. RJ will actually be joining me this Friday. RJ Carter will actually be joining me. I'm sorry.
You're slipping, Mike. You're slipping.
You try keeping track of like 10 weeks at a time, Tim, and see if your mind doesn't slip here and there.
Oh, right, I know. I know. I'll get confused.
Yeah.
This Friday, it's RJ Carter from. Next week, the second will be Terry from my bad.
And then on the 9th, on the 9th of June, I return.
God help us all.
And then we'll have Rex from Devil Flyer has committed to being here on the 16th. So those are next.
That will be his premiere appearance.
Right. And I think that we'll be finishing up October then with United Features. When you come back, will be Standard Comics. We'll be looking at Best Comics number 2, I believe.
Me.
And Tim, of course, will be next year on June the 30th. That's when Tim is next scheduled.
Next year?
No, June 30th.
Next
year. You said next year.
I didn't mean to say year.
You mean next month.
I meant to say next. He'll be here. He'll be next here. Here.
Next here. Not. Maybe I heard it wrong, but
yeah, I think you did.
Those Canadians, right?
Here. It sounds a little similar.
What are you gonna do, Mike? Those Canadians. I tell you.
Well, they do say a boot a lot.
Yeah, I know.
We do not.
Anyway, so this Friday will be RJ Carter from Critical Blast joining me to as we look back to October 1939. We'll look at books that went on sale from Fox Feature Syndicate, including, of course, Fantastic Comics #1, introducing the character Samson, among with Blue Beetle in there as well, among others. So Here's a link for Rick's YouTube channel for those who may want it.
So
And
they're
with that,
going
I
to
hope-
introduce the character from the Bible. I thought that character was introduced in the Bible.
I don't know if it's the same.
Yeah.
I don't know because I've never actually read the feature. You know,
I,
and I will
I'm
be,
just
I'll be
teasing, of
looking
course.
into him. Probably tomorrow. But with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. And with that, I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.